If you're like me, you're always hearing complaints from those around you. Why is the gas price so high? Didn't the price of oil drop last week? Well, today we're going to answer those questions for you and maybe a couple more. We'll show the mechanisms behind oil pricing, how that affects your back pocket at the Bowser, and what that means for the future of the oil industry. Hello and welcome to In Focus. The world's obsessed with oil. That's mostly thanks to a couple of people. Shout outs to Abraham Gessner with the invention of kerosene, Edwin Drake developing the modern oil well, and Henry Ford opening up cars to the everyman. Since then, we haven't been able to get enough black gold. Why does the price of oil fluctuate? Well, there are four main things to remember: supply, demand, government policy, and the financial markets. Supply and demand we all understand. If supply outweighs demand, the price drops, and vice versa. Recently, we've seen prices plummet. That's because of a number of reasons. First, we had economic slowdowns in China and Europe, and high production in the US led us to a supply glut. Surely OPEC would step in, curbing production, propping up prices, and generally just saving the day? No. And we're looking at you, Saudi Arabia. They don't want to give away market share, and they can afford the short-term pain of low prices if it means the American industry will suffer as a result. Well, guess what? It's working. US oil rigs are being shut down at unprecedented levels. Already, more than a third have been taken offline, and the UK oil and gas industry just recorded their worst year in 4 decades. Let's call a spade a spade. Saudi Arabia are being bullies. Not every member of OPEC is happy, especially the smaller players like Venezuela, who need prices to be high to make money. The longer the prices stay low, the more you'll be hearing from them. Back to pricing factors. Government policy. If a particular country passes strict sulfur laws, sweet crude oil, a rarer oil with lower sulfur content, is placed in high demand, and here we are, the price rises. You don't have to spend 4 years at Harvard to understand supply, demand, and government policy. Financial markets though, well, that is a different story. All futures are a bet. Speculators buy barrels of oil in the future at a price agreed to today. They may see the price climb, good news, or they might see it fall, bad news. If enough people buy oil at a higher than average price, you may see suppliers hoarding supply to drive up the price because they know they can. A small but subtle influence. So that's why a barrel of oil costs what it does. But why is a gallon of gas the price that it is? Say you caught on the news last night that West Texas crude has dropped $5 a barrel. Surely, when you wake up tomorrow, fuel will be cheaper. Not necessarily. The complaint is that when barrels hike, so does gas, and quickly. Not so much when the barrels drop. That may be true in the short term, but the overall trend is pretty close. Let's have a look at what you're actually paying for at the Bowser. 54% of your gas bill goes to the cost of crude, 6% to refining, 20% on distribution and marketing, and 20% on tax. Good old tax, one of life's two certainties. Along with inflation and the cost of crude, tax increases are the biggest reason it's almost certain gasoline will cost more in 2020 than it does today. Regional influence also comes into play. Sure, state tax has a lot to do with why a gallon is cheaper in Colorado than California, but the buying power of local markets and processing capability of local refineries is just as to blame why you're paying $3.30 while your friend in the state over is paying $2.20. But why is diesel more expensive? I suppose those that ask that question remember the good old days when diesel was the cheap fuel. Not anymore. Tighter sulfur restrictions has pushed up refining costs. In fact, more of your dollar goes to refining diesel than it does to petrol. There's good and bad to oil that's cheap and oil that's not so cheap. Cheap oil, cheap gas, cheap transport, cheap products and produce. More money to buy more things bought, more tax earned. Expensive oil reverses that, bringing more profit to everyone involved in extracting and transporting oil, though that includes countries. Before you freak out about the environment though, remember more expensive oil makes renewable energy more price competitive. But soon enough, we're going to reach that point of no return in regards to global warming. There's a massive chance now to use this downturn in oil pricing as an opportunity to divest in oil and invest in other tech. Electric cars are popular and Tesla continues to grow rapidly, while Japanese manufacturers like Toyota, Honda and Nissan think hydrogen fuel cells are the way of the future. For now though, the same old rules apply. Control the controllables. The less you drive your car, the better for the environment and your wallet. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.